Welcome back to another episode of Magic's in the Mess, the go-to podcast for ambitious women ready to stop pretending, start aligning, and finally build success your way. I'm your host, Danielle McKinley, speaker, business and wealth strategist, and your go-to problem-solving hype girl. Here, we'll help you unlock powerful mindset shifts, discover your magic, and bring your dream life into reality. Each week, I'll deliver raw stories, proven business strategies, and powerful transformations with industry leaders to activate the magic in you. So if you're ready to ditch the pressure, the performative BS, and the noise telling you who you should be, hit subscribe and let's make some magic. Hey, Magic Maker. Welcome back to another episode of Magic's in the Mess. I want to kick today's episode off by giving you a huge thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for supporting me and doing something that I truly love. These solo episodes are so much fun for me. They are inspired by things that happen in my life, sometimes same day, within a couple of days of recording, or usually like no more than a week. And today's episode is no different. So you know these episodes are short and punchy and to the point, and that's exactly what I'm going to give to you today. So let's get into it. We are going to talk about something that looks really harmless and feels logical, but it quietly keeps people stuck for sometimes years. And today's topic is assumptions. Not the dramatic ones, not the super obvious ones, but the tiny stories your brain fills in when you don't actually have the full picture of something. And I've started noticing this everywhere within this past week. I'm seeing it with my coaching clients. I'm seeing it at events. I'm seeing it catching up with friends. I'm seeing it in business conversations and decisions. And honestly, I've also seen it in myself in real time. And what's wild is most people don't realize how much of their life is being directed by things that never actually happen. Right? We don't react to reality. Oftentimes what we react to is the predictions we're making in our mind. And those predictions, they might be your brain's favorite form of self-sabotage. Assumptions. Predictions equal assumptions if we don't have the proof, right? So why your brain does this is because your brain does not like uncertainty. It doesn't like gaps. It doesn't like silence. So the second there's missing information, a delayed text, a neutral tone, no response to an email or a DM, what happens is your brain fills it in. And here's the important part. It almost never fills it in with a positive story, okay? It fills it in with the safest story, which is usually the worst one. There's actual psychology behind this, and it's called negativity bias. You see, your brain is wired to scan for problems first because historically that's what has kept us alive as a human species, okay? But in modern life, it actually just keeps us anxious and jumping to assumptions. So silence ends up becoming a rejection. Delay becomes something that is a disapproval. We start to question things. And neutral, no response, becomes a negative. And suddenly, you're emotionally responding to something that didn't actually happen. Not because it's real, because your brain predicted it or it assumed it, right? So you get an email, a nastygram from a client who sounds upset in the email, and then you hop on a call with her and everything is cool. And they just wanted to talk it out, right? But we assumed, like, we went into that nervous or into that situation going, gosh, this is going to be horrible. You're dreading it. You might procrastinate. And then you have the experience and you're like, gosh, that wasn't nearly as bad as I made it out to be inside my mind. And that is the problem with assumptions. Okay. So what this looks like in real life, that's an example of it. And I see this constantly with clients. Someone doesn't follow up with a lead because they assume that they're being annoying. They're like, gosh, I don't want to sell myself too much. Well, you're not selling yourself, honey. You're solving a problem for somebody, and that somebody reached out to you saying, hey, I have this problem that I know you solve. So do the follow-up, babe. Just do the damn thing. And there'll be somebody, another example would be like somebody doesn't pitch themselves for a speaking opportunity because they assume the answer will be no, or that there's more qualified speakers that are in the lineup. Well, you don't know that. And honestly, you, again, if you're speaking on stages, you're solving a problem. You have an opportunity to make an impact on someone. So shoot your shot. put yourself out there. Don't assume that you're not going to be chosen, because if you take no action, then you guarantee that you won't be, right? And another example might be that, and I see this one a lot, and this happens mostly with women, that someone doesn't raise their rates because they assume people will leave or that they're going to be upset. And they jump to all of these conclusions and they procrastinate and they put it off and they put it off and they put it off. And then all of a sudden they raise their rates, they raise their frequency, they believe in themselves, they see that they know that they stand by the value that they're providing. And what happens? People pay the new rate. And then they say things like, gosh, why didn't I raise my rates a year ago? I would have made 2x what I made last year, right? And it's all tied to assumptions. And here's what's wild. We, myself included, genuinely believe that we're being realistic in these scenarios. We're literally talking ourselves out of things with our logical mind. But what we're doing is we're not responding to evidence. We're making evidence up. And we're carrying the emotional weight from conversations that we've never had. We're spending energy on imaginary outcomes, and we're wasting time managing scenarios that might never occur. That is low vibes, right? When you hear that out loud, you're like, yeah, what she's saying makes sense. Why the hell am I doing that, right? And this is why people feel stuck even when opportunities exist. They're not necessarily blocked by the reality. They're blocked by the interpretation of the reality. And self-sabotage rarely looks dramatic. It happens subconsciously oftentimes, and sometimes you're not even aware that you're doing it until you have one of those aha moments and you're like, shit, I'm the problem. It's me, right? And it can look like certainty about things that you've never really confirmed. That's what assumptions can do. And the pattern breaker here becomes the pause. The pause becomes the tool. So let's talk about it. The tool is simple, it's powerful. And when you feel a reaction, you're going to practice the art of the pause and you're going to ask yourself, is this a fact or is this an assumption that I'm making? Then I want you to ask, what do I actually know is right in this scenario? Not what you fear, not what you feel, not the emotions that are bubbling up, but what do you factually know? And most of the time the answer is, I don't know yet. And that, my friend, that is a gift because now you have a choice. So instead of spiraling, you get an opportunity to clarify. And instead of withdrawing and procrastinating, you get an opportunity to ask. And instead of predicting, a situation might look this way and assuming what the outcome is going to be, you get to participate in creating it, right? You give yourself the gift of knowing. And that's what the brain wants. The brain wants certainty, but growth requires you to engage, okay? So this week, I want you to notice how often your thoughts start with, they'll probably, it's going to, they must think, maybe I'm not worthy. They don't want to respond because I'm not cool enough. And instead of spiraling, I want you to pause and ask yourself, is this a fact or an assumption? And then go get the answer. Go shoot your shot. Go find out what it is. Hope for the best. Elevate your frequency. Believe and see yourself on the stage. See the client paying you the higher price. See the hard conversation going easy. And believe that that can be the outcome, but go and find out for yourself. Because the sooner that you take action, the sooner you stop the pattern interrupt and you get to know the answer. And as you start to practice this, it becomes a muscle for you. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I've caught myself doing some assumptive work in the past week. And what I have found fascinating is that I've started to do this in real time. It's almost becoming subconscious where I go, wait a second, that's just my ego or my brain trying to keep me safe. What do I actually know about this? And then I take action and move. And the faster that you move through things, I mean, when you think about it, and I've done an episode on like the power of having tough conversations, right? And the sooner that you do it, you see like, oh my gosh, it really wasn't that bad. This is no different. Okay? Because assumptions, they don't protect you. What they do is they keep you small and they keep you at a low frequency, and your next level self and that up level that you're looking for, it can't operate on that frequency. So we've got to raise the bar by practicing the power of the pause, asking ourselves what we know, confirming what we know, and then taking action. Okay? Because I don't want you living small, babe. So if this episode hit you, if you recognize, oh my gosh, I've done some assumptive things this week too, and you recognize the pattern in yourself, I want you to come a little closer. So I want you to join me. I want you to hop into the Harmony Hustler newsletter where I send out stuff every single Tuesday. I break down patterns that quietly run our lives. We talk money, mindset, identity, leadership, and I just want to be in community with you. So if you love these quick hit podcasts, then you're going to love my newsletters because it's not performative growth. It's not surface level motivation. It's stuff that actually works and shifts in real life things. So if you know me, you know that I love teaching through experience and teaching through lived experience. And that's exactly what the newsletter does. So if this hit, come join me. And if you're ready to stop living inside the story and start participating in your life, then you need to be a part of it because you're a Harmony Hustler too. And so I'll link everything in the show notes, but I want you to stop wasting time in the assumption trap because the assumption trap is keeping you small. It's keeping you stuck. It's keeping you from that up level, from that quantum leap, from moving into the life that you see in your head. And it doesn't have to be that way. You get to decide when to stop being in the assumption trap. Okay. And if this episode hit for you, send it to a bestie, send it to somebody else who you know is living in the assumption trap, and let's help pull them out of it as well. So I'll see you inside the Harmony Hustler newsletter and, of course, next week's episode of Magic's in the Mess. Until then, be well, shine bright, go make some moves, and thanks so much again for tuning in.